So what do you do?
Well, I wear different hats because things have developed throughout my life. I started off as a movement martial artist, gymnast, dancer. Then I moved into studying therapy, science in particular in terms of my academic studies. And then I became a therapist, so I learned how to do sports injuries, sports medicine, and I've worked with shiatsu and acupuncture and many other therapeutic modalities and healing, which I learned from my mother. And then I began to do research, and the main area of the research is altered states of consciousness and understanding brainwave patterns and the difference between a parasympathetic and the sympathetic states, voluntary, involuntary nervous system. And the main aspect of that was that most people would look at someone who was in meditation or in a trance state and they can't tell the difference. And there is a very big difference between prayer and meditation, therapy and healing, a trance state, or a state of mental disorder. Yeah? Someone going through a schizophrenic breakdown, for example. And I was looking at what are these differences, who has done the research, and how we can define them to try to create a reference, a standard reference. It's not been created to date. There isn't a proper reference to help to discern what the differences are.
Okay.
Using simple physical parameters, meaning brainwave patterns, heart rate variability, oxygen uptake, and blood pressure. So that's my research arm, more or less. Yeah, some people call me a philosopher because I've got a lot of knowledge of different wisdom traditions and philosophies. But I think what has grown out of that for me is what I call praxosophy, which means the practical application of what you learn. Not just being a friend of wisdom, sitting and discussing all this knowledge, which is in and of itself fascinating, exciting, inspirational, but then what do we do with it?
You have to go and do something about that.
Well, yeah, and putting it into practice I think is much more important. Otherwise, it's only, potential is only as good as the practice you can put it into. People talk about potential all the time. This person's got that potential. I want to develop my potential. How do you do that without understanding, first and foremost, what your actual talents are, what your gifts are, what is your purpose?